Hello everybody and welcome to the video notes for Unit 5, Day 5. And today's video is dedicated to Aaliyah in 6C. Hi Aaliyah. What we learned yesterday was that the mean, M-E-A-N, and another way of saying what the mean is in math is the average. So those two things in math mean the same. The mean or the average of a set of numbers is the value. A value is a number. The value that represents the middle. And yesterday when we put pennies on a ruler and figuring out what the mean was, the mean, you can also think of the mean as the balance point. So it's as if everything was on a ruler, all the numbers on a ruler, where would it be balanced? Sorry, not points, point. No S at the end. The balance point. So one way you can find the mean is by doing just that, putting pennies on a ruler and figuring out where it balances. But sometimes in life, you can't always do that. And so there's also a way to calculate the mean using something called the mean formula. And what the mean formula is it's where the mean is equal to the sum of all the numbers, divided by, so I'm going to put a big fraction bar here, because remember a fraction bar means to divide, divided by how many numbers there are. How many numbers there are. And right at this top part where it says the sum of all the numbers, I want you to do a little arrow just to remind yourself that the sum, it means to add. So you got to add up all the numbers and then divide by how many numbers there are. That's how you find the mean or the average. All right, let's put that into action. Let's read problem number 1. Alex places 3 pennies on a ruler at 2 inches, 3 inches, and 10 inches. Place dots on the dot plot below to represent the pennies. So let's do that first part. Okay, 3 pennies. One is at 2 inches, so I'm going to put a dot right at the 2 here. The next one is at 3 inches, so I'll put a dot right on the 3 here. And the other one is at 10 inches. I'll put the dot all the way over here at the 10. Okay, now I have my 3 dots, which are like 3 pennies on this ruler. Part A asks you to mark where you think the balance point will be with a triangle on the dot plot. So before we calculate anything, just take a look. If you have 2 pennies right here and a penny right here, where do you think on this ruler you would have to put your finger underneath so that it would balance? And wherever you think that point is, mark it with a triangle. So go ahead and make that guess. Okay, so now you have put a triangle where you think the balance point is going to be, and now we're going to see if you're correct or not. Because we're going to use the mean formula, which is this up here, to calculate the mean of the 3 numbers. All right, so from up here, right, the mean, or the average, is equal to the sum of all the numbers divided by how many numbers there are. So the sum of all the numbers divided by how many. So in this case, the sum of all the numbers, we have a 2. So I'm going to add a 2 plus, we have a 3 right here. From right here, right, I'm going to add a 3. And then the last one is a 10 all the way over here. I'm going to take this 10 and then add it right here. And then I'm going to divide the sum of all the numbers by how many numbers there are. Well, how many numbers do we have? We have 1, 2, 3 numbers, or 3 pennies. So we're going to divide all of this by 3. let's see what it equals. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 10 is 15. And then we still have this 3 here. And then 15 over 3 is the same thing as 15 divided by 3. And 15 divided by 3 is 5. And there's our answer. Put a box around it. So the mean of the three numbers, 2, 3, and 10, is 5. That also means if we were putting these pennies on a ruler, the balancing point would be right at 5. Right there. Okay. Now I'm going to have you do the exact same thing, but instead, in this example, Alejandra places 4 pennies. So now we're dealing with 4 pennies instead of 3. So when we think about how many there are going to be 4 of them. Start by putting each of these measurements on the dot plot below. Mark where you think the balance point is going to be, and then find the mean. I'm going to have you pause and try number 2 on your own. So pause and try that one, and then you can continue the video to check your work. And now you are resuming the video to check your work. Make sure that you try it on your own, because if you're just copying from me, you're not really trying. 4 pennies. The 4 pennies are at 4 inches. Okay. 6 inches. All right. 10 inches. That's over here. 12 inches. Okay. And mark where you think the balancing point will be. Just by looking at this, I think the balancing point is probably going to be right around here. But let's see if we're correct. Let's calculate it out. Remember, the mean is equal to the sum of all the numbers divided by how many numbers there are. So that would be, I have a 4 plus a 6 plus a 10 plus a 12 divided by how many numbers there are. There are 1, 2, 3 numbers because there are 4 pennies. So I'm dividing all of that by 4. And let's see what this equals. You can do it in your head, or you can write it out, or if you need to use your calculator, you can. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. And then 20 plus 12 is 32, divided by, we have the 4 right here. We're still dividing by 4 from right there. And 32 over 4 means 32 divided by 4, which is 8. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So the mean, or the average, of those 4 numbers is 8, which means if we also had these pennies on a ruler, the balancing point would be right at 8. If you got that all on your own, 3 gold stars for you. And now I'm going to have you try something a little bit harder. Let's look at the last one. Below are the temperatures in Oakland for the past 5 days. On Saturday it was 52 degrees, and then 54 degrees, and then 57 degrees, and then 54 degrees, and then yesterday it was 54 degrees, so kind of cold. Use the mean formula to calculate the average temperature for the last 5 days. We have 5 different numbers here, each with a different temperature, and all you need to remember is that's the mean, or the average of something. Right, to find the average temperature, we just have to figure out what is the sum of all the numbers divided by how many numbers there are, and that can give you your answer. So that's all I'm going to give you for now, because I want to see that you can do this all on your own. When you are done, you can raise your hand. Today's secret word is mean, M-E-A-N, because that's what we're working on. The secret word is mean. All right, when you're done, raise your hand, and you can get your raffle ticket.
Thank you so much for playing my game.